most beautiful life, the most envied life, the most serene life that everybody wants, regardless of income category, regardless of where you're living, regardless of the situation, is a life of least compromise. Imagine a life where you don't have to answer to anybody, you don't have to conform to someone else's limitations, you don't have to make adjustments to make someone else happy. I know it sounds selfish, I know, but we're not talking about not being selfish here. We're talking about the life that is most beautiful and most enjoyable and most enviable. That is a life of least compromise, ladies and gentlemen. And what is the one factor that introduces the most compromise, onerous compromise in your life? That is another person entering your life. So for a little sex and for a little companionship, you have to give up a plethora of freedom, a plethora of happiness, a plethora of no compromises, a plethora of doing whatever you want, whenever you want, as long as you want, in any place you want, because you want a little sex. Now, I know it sounds selfish, but as a man with options, now this is about men, if you can have your sex when you want and not involve yourself in artificially created legal person created legal bodies of whatever you're living created thing called legal marriage. I mean legal marriage. I don't mean getting together with a woman when you want and separating when you want. I mean legal contract of marriage, which adds a business element to your life. Without that, imagine not doing that and still engaging with a woman, with a man that you want, you know, at a time that you both want, at a time that is desirable for both, with complete consent on both ends. And then when you're finished, you say bye. If you want to stay together for 3 days, you stay together. If you want to stay together for 2 weeks, stay together. But you don't have to stay together and accept all kinds of compromises, limitations, adjustments. Oh, I can't do this on Friday. I can't have meat. I can't have vegetables. Oh, I don't smoke inside. I don't do this. I don't do that. All these, limitations, all these adjustments you have to do, all these compromises for what? And that ruins the enjoyable sex and get-togetherness, the enjoyable time you have with the other person, because you have to constantly be reminded of all the compromises before and after that you have to accept. So to have a life, and I repeat it in almost every video, I know people from a struggling taxi driver to multi-billionaires, and it's the same for all of them. To have the most enjoyable life is to have a life of least compromises. And that should be the goal of everyone. Once you experience a life of no compromise, once you don't have to get up at 7 in the morning and go and punch somebody else's clock, once you don't have to live by someone else's rules and limitations and adjustments, then you realize what beautiful thing life is. When you can do what you want, when you want, as much as you want. Sometimes it means making much less money, but not having to answer to anyone. Whatever it takes, whatever path you need to take to reach the end destination of least compromise, then you realize you've reached happiness in life, the most joyful life. Stay together and sit down outside somewhere and have coffee with your friends for 4 hours. Do things that you want, when you want, as much as you want, whenever you want, anytime you want. Without having to worry about anyone, without having to look at your clock, without having to worry about, oh, but she doesn't eat meat. Oh, but he doesn't eat fish. Oh, but this or that. She has this peanut allergy, whatever the hell it is. Whatever other limitations that somebody has. I know it sounds selfish. But to have an enjoyable life of no compromise and no stress, you have to be selfish. Selfish, and you stop yourself when it goes to a point where you're infringing on other people's standards, other people living, other people's comfort, other people's compromise levels, whatever. As long as you're not harming another human being, as long as you're not in any way, shape, or form bringing harm to another human being, your goal is a life of least compromise. Short and sweet, signing out from city of San Diego in the state of California in Western United States. All the best.